Issue of granting full statehood to Delhi. Since Delhi has been granted the status of a semi-state in 1991, the demand for extending the current status to full statehood has been voiced repeatedly by the Congress, BJP, and now the newly formed Aam Aadmi Party government. With the union government mulling over the idea, the issue has gained significance from the examination point. Hence, before going any further, we would like to understand the significance of the issue from the point of civil services examination. Significance. The issue is significant both in prelims and in mains. Aspects which gets highlighted by this issue like center-state relationship, the 7th schedule of the constitution, along with the role of governors and lieutenant governors in an union territory are all part of the regular polity syllabus of the examination. We would try to discuss all the relevant aspects associated with this issue one by one. Present status of Delhi. Delhi used to be one of the union territories of the country along with Andaman and Nicobar, Pondicherry, Goa, Chandigarh and Lakshadweep. However, Goa, Pondicherry and Delhi were given the status of statehood or semi-statehood subsequently during late 1980s. In fact, Delhi was made a semi-state in the year 1991 only. With this conferring of status, the geographical territory became to be designated as the National Capital Territory of Delhi, where the state government under the supervision of a lieutenant governor was given all rights of a state except the rights as conferred under the entries numbered 2nd and 18th of the state list of the 7th schedule. These are the authority over law and order and police, entry number 2 of state list, and land, entry number 18 of the state list. These special provisions were made as per the 69th Amendment of the Constitution of India. Delhi has been experiencing phenomenal growth of population since 1951, recording decennial growth rate of 52.44%, 52.91%, 52.98%, 51.45% and 47.03% during 51 to 61, 61 to 71, 71 to 81 and 1991 to 2001 respectively. One of the main causes of this spurt in the growth of population is migration into the city, not only from the adjacent states but also from others such as Bihar. The growth of population of Delhi has contributed to increasing congestion and shortages of civic amenities. It has been felt that as Delhi grows, its problem of land, housing, transportation and management of essential infrastructure like water supply and sewage would become more acute. It was with this concern that the need for planning Delhi in the regional context was felt. 1956 Interim General Plan suggested that serious consideration should be given for a planned decentralization of outer areas and even outside the Delhi region. In 1961, High-Powered Board was set up under the Union Ministry for Home Affairs. In 1962, Master Plan for Delhi emphasized planning of Delhi in regional context. In 1973, High-Powered Board reconstituted under Union Minister for Works and Housing. In 1985, enactment of National Capital Region Planning Board Act by the Union Parliament with the concurrence of participating states of Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, the NCR Planning Board was constituted. With time, the urban agglomeration in and around Delhi started to grow. With the development of industrial centers in Gurgaon, Faridabad, Noida and Ghaziabad, the NCT of Delhi became the nerve center of a huge urban agglomeration which required the development of these adjacent areas of the neighboring states in the same pace as that of Delhi. This necessitated the creation of a conglomeration of these urban agglomerations and thus formed the Delhi NCR. With the latest expansion made in 2015, the total extent of Delhi NCR includes 22 districts in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Rajasthan. These are Bhiwani, Faridabad, Gurgaon, Jhajjar, Jhind, Karnal, Mewat, Mahendragarh, Panipat, Palwal, Rewari, Rohtak and Sonipat in Haryana, Bagpat, Bulandshahr, Ghaziabad, Gautam Budh Nagar or Noida, Hapur, Meerut and Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh, and Alwar and Bharatpur of Rajasthan. However, one needs to keep in mind that NCR consists of these areas along with the NCT of Delhi. One also needs to keep in mind that though uniform standard of development is attempted to be set across the Delhi NCR, but territorially, the regions outside the NCT of Delhi belongs to the respective states. With a fair bit of idea about the geographical and territorial extent of the state of Delhi, let us now try to understand the administrative setup of the NCT. Administrative setup of Delhi. The Constitution 69th Amendment Act 1991 recognizes Delhi as a union territory and talks only of the question of reorganization of the administrative setup in the Union Territory of Delhi. On the other hand, Article 239AA, inserted by this amendment in the Constitution of India, states special provisions with respect to Delhi. 1. As from the date of commencement of the Constitution 69th Amendment Act 1991, the Union Territory of Delhi shall be called the National Capital Territory of Delhi, hereinafter in this part referred to as the National Capital Territory, and the administrator thereof appointed under Article 239 shall be designated as the Lieutenant Governor. On the other hand, Article 239 states, Administration of Union Territories. 1. Save as otherwise provided by Parliament by law, every Union Territory shall be administered by the President, acting, to such extent as he thinks fit, through an administrator, to be appointed by him with such designation as he may specify. Number 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in Part 6, the President may appoint the Governor of a State or the administrator of an adjoining Union Territory, and where a Governor is so appointed, he shall exercise his functions as such administrator independently of his Council of Ministers. Hence, the Lieutenant Governor remains the main authority, with the CM and his Council of Ministers acting as an advisory body. Now, let's come back to the original topic of full statehood of Delhi. Let's see the two sides of the argument being given in this respect. Pros of full statehood to Delhi. The Legislative Assembly of NCT of Delhi has the power to legislate over 26 items in the state list and 47 items in the concurrent list, barring issues related to public order, police, and land. The demand for Delhi's recognition as a full-fledged state holds water, as the present status of national capital makes it neither centers nor states. As law and order is not under the state government, maintaining public order becomes a nuisance. For example, during the 1984 riot, the Delhi government was unable to control the violence as the headless central machinery had fallen to disarray. At the end of the day, Delhi has to be run by a state government which, without an accountable police force, lacks a prominent tenet of a modern state and the means to execute its will. Apart from law and order, land is another important issue. Development work in Delhi is carried out by Delhi Development Authority, which again is under the centre. This means even to fulfill the basic requirements of development, the government of NCT of Delhi has to go to the DDA and the central government. Cons of full statehood to Delhi. The union government's reluctance to make Delhi a state like any other is mainly because Delhi is the national capital of India. The city houses the national parliament, Supreme Court, central government offices, among others. Making Delhi a state would bring the centre under the state government, which is an absurd situation to say the least. Now, since it is not possible for the central government to come under a state government's administrative jurisdiction, it automatically means that Delhi has to be bifurcated if one part of it is to receive full statehood. There is no way any central government will allow a state to control its offices, establishments, cantonments, and services. So, the first implication of the demand for statehood is bifurcation. And by bifurcation, we mean not just geographical bifurcation, but bifurcation of all the services provided to the citizens of United Delhi. That is, the police, the land development authority, the waterworks, everything. So, the Delhi police will have to be split between the new full state of Delhi and a central autonomous mini-state that will constitute the national capital, which will house all cantonments and the central offices, including the country's president, the prime minister, the MPs, the ministers, and the bureaucracy. It will also mean splitting the Delhi Development Authority and a new water-sharing agreement involving the two residual entities, among other things. To be sure, some kind of bifurcation already exists, but it is horizontal in nature, with police and land being run by the centre and municipal and other services by the state. What the incumbent government of NCT of Delhi is demanding will merely make the bifurcation vertical, a separation of centre from state, geographically, resource-wise, and emotionally. But there are other implications of demanding full statehood that people of Delhi should be aware of before asking for it. First, as a full state of the Indian Union, Delhi will no longer be eligible to live off the central government's current subsidies. The rest of India can pay to run a central government, but not another state government. Delhi is India's richest state, and thus has to rely on its own resources for growth and to provide services to its citizens. Second, apart from Delhi's value-added taxes, The primary revenue earner for a city-state are taxation of services, entry, exit, and parking charges on vehicles and property. Land rents, annual property taxes, and vehicle taxes will have to go up when Delhi achieves full statehood. This is because in future, Delhi will have to pay for its own law and order costs, including policemen. More money will also have to be raised for investing in public transport. The Delhi Metro will have to charge more or be subsidized by the state. Third, city-states cannot be traditional manufacturing centers as they will be unviable and polluting. Cities tend to attract higher wages than non-urban centers, and this automatically means only high-value adding, automated manufacturing, or non-polluting industries and services can be set up there. But these kinds of jobs need skilled manpower and a knowledge base, which means attracting high-income knowledge workers and not the hoi polloi of the rest of India. Fourth, city-states need different governance structures compared to the normal states with a mix of the rural and urban. No successful city-state can attract talent and skilled workers without running a very efficient corporatized form of government. But what is being envisaged by the incumbent government in the NCT of Delhi is just the opposite. That is, empowering Gram and Mohalla Sabhas that can realistically decide only things like where to store the garbage or stop neighborhood brothel. Mohalla Sabhas cannot become the driving structure of an urbanized, knowledge-driven future state which may continue to receive a huge influx of underfed, illiterate and unskilled or semi-skilled migrants. It is a recipe for chaos. Delhi will have to think of a corporatized and top-down governance structure like Singapore or Shanghai. It needs a CEO, but it is not what people have been talking about. The only city-states that work are those that can centralize and optimize decision-making powers and deliver world-quality public services, especially in a super diverse city like Delhi. Delhi's Babu culture is practically unsuited for a city-state. Fifth, statehood for Delhi means it will be a net buyer of power and water from outside. This is already the case, but if power and water has to come from elsewhere and shared with the central administrative district run by the Home Ministry, it cannot be subsidized. Delhi can set up its own power plant, but these will have to be based on clean gas or renewable sources, both more expensive. Coal-based power will have to be bought from other states at market rates. Sixth, as a city state which is hemmed in by three other states, Delhi will automatically run out of land. The benefit of Delhi's sprawling growth will go to the contiguous states of Haryana, UP and Rajasthan, as it already does, and Delhi's residential growth will have to come vertically. This means Delhi has to think like Singapore and not a spatial growth. We are intentionally not providing any conclusion to this topic and leaving it for you to deduce. Thank you.